In this episode, we make our way through the canals of northern France. We learn how to operate self-service locks, cruise through mountains, get stuck in impossibly thick river grass, and I make a failed attempt at honoring Norse traditions. I tried to call up the lock control, but I didn't answer. But the guys over there in the survey boat helped me. So, now they're going first. Then it's a second transport ship going through, and then I'm third. That's a tight squeeze. And after 2.5 weeks being stuck in this river system, we're finally through. This feels good. Well, that was quite a climb. That's a unlucky fella. A shitty place to dry out. Getting through the locks today has been quite a mission. The last one now, I had to run back and forth. I actually had to talk to a Belgian captain. I can speak French. At least I get to do some cardio. So we're in the southern part of Lille, or however you pronounce it. And there's an old citadel here that I kind of want to check out. So looking at Google Maps, it looks like there's a nice little spot I can tie up. So as I was closing in on the jetty, a bunch of guys were looking at me, and when I docked, one of them came down and said that the jetty belonged to a kayak club. But he told us that we were very welcome to stay and that they had a shower and a toilet that we could use for free. New day. So I'm headed for the Citadel now. I want to see it. The Citadel of Lille is a pentagonal citadel built between 1667 and 1670. Lille was captured from Spain by French forces in August 1667, and King Louis XIV immediately ordered the citadel's construction. And as I soon find out, it's no museum, but still in use by the French army. Just walking along the old moat here. Well, who would have thought? A centuries old citadel. And it's still in the hands of the military. En nu ser vi här är Saman på tur. Det här är ett elektriskt reinstyr. So we just left the kayak club, but before we did, as you may know, I've struggled here in France with people that only speak French and they don't speak English. But lo and behold, in the kayak club, there was a guy that spoke Norwegian. He'd been living on Greenland, and he'd been living with a bunch of Swedes, and he also spent some time traveling in Norway. So he spoke proper Scandinavian. I was very unexpected, but the guy spoke like 12 languages, so I'm impressed. The first generation of proper gamers becoming grown-ups and taking 9-to-5 jobs. It's pretty funny how that bleeds out in the real world. So there's a boat called Ghost Sniper. This is proving to be quite a challenge. The water's draining down there from the lock. That guy's using his prop. So we're just getting pushed around. But we've been waiting for 2 boats to go ahead of us now. So I was hoping he's going far enough ahead for me to sneak in behind him. But there's space enough, I've checked. So I hope my mast is fine, because these boats didn't even tie up. They're just using their prop. So we got massive prop wash. We got kicked around 180 degrees before we managed to top our bow. We just attached to the stern. So the mast and the outboard took all the blunt force of it. And just as it went out, it's just bouncing back and forth on the walls here like a bumper car. So this is the junction we would have come to if we'd been able to go past the shallow point in the last episode. But now, at least we're on the main waterways, though those kind of closures shouldn't be that common. So you may wonder, there's a nice jetty over there. And how come we didn't go to the jetty? Well, because you can go to it, like walk to it. It's only a meter deep. But we talked to some locals and they said it was fine to be here. Just hoping there's not a big boat coming through. So today it's not my turn to cook dinner. So Anne Lene has cooked a nice 3-course dinner.
Cost only 800 Norwegian krona in McDonald's.
Well, it's not my credit card. Solar doesn't provide enough electricity anymore, and shore power connections aren't always available. I head over to the local Leroy Merlin to pick up a gas generator on sale. I'll also drop by Decathlon, securing a 3-month supply of cooking gas for my stove. Here's our little neighbor. Hi. So that was a dead end, a drawbridge that doesn't open. So we're going back down the river, and we're gonna do the big commercial locks. Let's go to the other side of town. It's pretty hard to communicate with the lock control at times. Sometimes you gotta run out the ladder like this and just grab their attention. And this lock's open and ready for us as we arrive. So this is actually the same canal that we just left. You can see here, it's a big circle. It's getting late, so we don't have time for another lock. So I found a nice little barn there for Anne Lene, so she can stay in. So we're gonna spend the night here, and since we've got everything we need, we'll keep going tomorrow towards Saint Quentin. Or, I'll probably mispronounce it. I'm just gonna give up. Today's my lucky day. Tower spotted us a couple of kilometers ahead, so they've already prepared the lock. I got a green light. Usually you gotta climb all the way up the ladders to tie off on top, but these neat little things are floaters, so once the water level starts rising, they rise up with you. To avoid all the barges, we decide to leave Canal du Nord for the older and slightly longer Saint Quentin Canal. That's good. A fellow sailor, and he also had the mast on deck like I do, although a bit more secure. It was a German, so that ought to be a good sign. Unless that guy has a swing keel, then he's way deeper than me. Probably 160, 170 or something like that, and I'm 140. So here's the only thing that might pose a challenge with this route that we've been warned about, which is a kind of river grass that's an invasive species. Some of the bigger boats with inboards have had problems with their cooling intake being blocked. We've got an outboard and we got a pair of oars. Worst comes to worst. So they gave us this remote controller for a trapdoor, and it works. It's pretty hard to hold on, especially with one hand while it's filming. Oh. As we're approaching more remote areas, we make refueling and stocking up on food a priority. I also drop by the laundromats whenever I find them. That's pretty cool. The locks were so close that the remote controller was attempting to open both of them. So I just had to wait because it was jumping back and forth, and I managed to click on the right one. Who says gaming doesn't help sailing, huh? The lock's jammed. Doesn't want to fully open. It was jammed from some weeds, but a guy came in his car and he opened it for us. So we've got a case here. There's a spider.
The spider is a monster.
And she tried to pull back the safety lines just to slingshot him away, but it didn't work because he's a Spider-Man. That's the final lock of the day. We've done 10, I think. So we're 50 meters higher up than we were this morning. So we found this weird looking mushroom, which is Amanita ferritis, but there's only one, so I've improvised a bit because I got these bolts that I use back home for wedging in the rocks when there's no place to tie up, but they're pretty much tent plugs. So this is where we're spending the night, far away from people because she snores. So I'm getting ready to commission a gas generator. Just filled the oil without spilling too much. So now I'm just trying to figure out how the hell I'm gonna ground it. Works like a charm. Having a mast hanging out like that isn't sustainable, and I'm starting to fear damage to it. What worries me is having too much pressure in one spot. The only lumber store I've passed was closed, so I'm somewhat of a lumberjack myself. It's pretty wild. There's a canal, there's my boat, and there's the river. That ought to work. Yeah, I'm somewhat of a carpenter myself. As you can see, it's really beautifully done. Even 8-year-old Boy Scouts would have done better, but it works. On the other side of the river, across that hill there's an archaeological site from the Middle Ages, and supposedly there's a medieval market there as well. I don't know if it's still up and running, but it seemed fitting to pay my Norman cousins a friendly visit. Open every day except Mondays. Now of course it's a Monday today, so now I'm trying to get back to the boat without taking the 10-kilometer or so detour. Problem is that Google Maps isn't always reliable, so I'm currently in the jungle. I don't understand why the French military goes to tropical countries to practice jungle warfare when they've got a jungle at home. I've gone one lock too far. This is what I was trying to crawl through. As you can see, there's just blackberry bushes and stinging nettles. But the funny thing is, she did the same thing this morning when she went to the grocery store.
I wouldn't believe that.
So there's the water outlet, but of course it's close to the season. It was getting pretty late, and usually we would have docked by now. But there's a tunnel up ahead. It's 5 kilometers long, and it's so old that there's no ventilation. So you can't use an internal combustion engine to go through it. And I reckon it won't let me use my electric as well. The rules be rules. So we're gonna get towed through by an old electric boat. And since our French isn't top notch, it's kind of unclear if we're going tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So the brand new generator's having issues because the pull cord isn't catching. So I diagnosed it. The problem is the flywheel. When you pull, the cap or the catch sort of comes off. So where one of the hex screws attaches to the flywheel, it was attached to plastic. Who makes an engine using plastic parts? I mean, I could fix it with epoxy, but it's brand new, so I'm not gonna do that. So there's our train arriving, powered by high voltage power lines, just like a train, and it's pulling a chain laid along the bottom. Citadelle de Riqueval. I'm just gonna start pronouncing everything in English. Everyone thinks I'm from England anyway. We're so light that the rope itself is just floating on the water. It's not even tight because this boat is made for pulling large barges. So this will be our life for the next 2.5 hours, and Anne Lene is getting very stressed out because she's losing internet connection. She's never gone an hour without it for the past 5 years. This is way more chill than I expected. This is limestone. Imagine the folks digging this out by hand 200 years ago. There's a ventilation shaft of sorts. We're 30 meters underground. After an hour and 20 minutes, we finally see the light in the end of the tunnel. I've read a lot about this tunnel. You have to give them a lot of paperwork, including your address, and they'll invoice you by mail. But it turns out you can pay in cash. They didn't have any change, but I just told them to keep it, buy themselves beer, because they had to go all the way through the tunnel to get us and then back. So I think that's fair. These weeds are starting to become an issue. Slowing us down, tempering the rudder, giving the engine coolant failure. I was really paying attention to the telltale on it. Sometimes I gotta lift the outboard out of the water as well to clear it. I've got a bad feeling about this. So this sucks, I guess. But I got an oar. I'll just move it out of the way. The engine couldn't handle it anymore. Cooling failure. I mean, it's just 50 meters from the tunnel. So if I can't row through this, I'll just get to shore and I'll pull the boat. So here goes nothing. This is pretty undignified, being a beast of burden, but it's actually working. If that tree hadn't been there, this would have been easy. But of course there's a tree there. And the other side is too shallow. And we're through, nearly. But now I can actually pull it without straining my neck. There's a lot of dead animals in here. Probably be one of them if I fell. The signal light there is turned into a nest of wasps. They don't seem very happy about us being here. So we're in the tunnel, but we're barely moving. When we put the engine in reverse, all of that stuff fell off. So yesterday we spoke to the lock operator and he told us to meet him here at 12 o'clock. And he said that if he wasn't here by 12, we should just go through the lock ourselves. I've tried activating it manually over there. I've tried the remote. Then there's only one thing to do, and that's call him on the phone.
Le numéro que vous avez composé n'est pas attribué.
This is a proper emergency. We're gonna eat all our food stores.
Yeah.
Oh, and there he is. I was just about to send out a mayday. And now we're out of the jurisdiction of the friendliest lockkeeper I've met so far. That guy's a champion. Removing all the weeds all the time in front of the logs. If you want to go to France, go on the canals. Despite the growth there, I really, really recommend the Saint Quentin Canal. Today is a big day because we just crossed into the 40s in latitude. So I've been at 57 degrees north the whole trip. Now we're at 49.
That is what I call horsepower.
Haul away, a rolling king to be heave away and haul away. All along you'll hear me sing. So we picked up a hitchhiker. He's doing one of the pilgrim trails, and apparently you're allowed to walk or go by boat, but you're not allowed to go by car. So we asked him if he wanted to ride. Hello, Philip. What are you doing?
I'm walking to Santiago from Germany.
How far is that?
About 2,250 kilometers.
So when do you think you'll be there?
I think in the middle of December should be a good date.
And here's the end of the Saint Quentin Canal. It's been a pretty enjoyable experience. Philip is gonna continue on his journey. So we're getting to Aqueduct here, a bridge of sorts. So we're on a river across a river. So we were supposed to chill out for a while. Anne Lene was going to the river for a swim. Then she noticed a huge peninsula coming through, cargo ship. And this canal is pretty narrow and it's not very deep except for the middle. So we're racing, trying to get to this little spot here. If he keeps the speed limit, he won't catch up with us because we're speeding. So we're just holding up here. In 3, 2, 1. Like I was actually going by the speed limit. If I'd have gone faster, we would have gotten trashed. I was nearly falling asleep, chilling on my bed, and she yelled to me, there's a boat coming, and it's coming pretty fast, right? There's a bridge, and hopefully it's not approaching us.
How would I know?
You're supposed to wear glasses and not drink beer. How many beers do you have today? Anne Lene's gone a full month without showering, just using wet wipes. She said she wanted to go for a swim, so we're gonna perch ourselves adjacent to this lake. It's one thing I love about being on the rivers. You don't really have to worry about winds or waves. You can just tie up. €7, 24 hours. That's a good deal. Here we go. Running the dehumidifier. Just trying to dry up everything in here. Mattresses, because they've gotten soaked in the past few weeks when it's been raining and damp every day. New day. All the batteries are charged. So today we'll be doing yet another tunnel. It's 2,365 meters long. So there's the tunnel, but there's a red light. This is a long shot, but maybe using the remote once it's finished booting up. I used to have Windows 95. It was faster. Nope. Well, it's worth a shot. Channel 20. Oh, that's just sweet. We're halfway through and the engine's starting to struggle with the river grass because there's a lot of it deposited in here. So we're getting cooling airs. Managed to clear it for now. Well, at least it's not gonna rain here if we get stranded. There's a bunch of bats perched in the ceiling. One of them just flew straight up my head and he just did a 90-degree turn a meter and a half in front of me. There's one. This vaping has really gotten out of hand. Just look, can't see anything out here. All good things must come to an end, and after a month together on the canals, Anne Lene has to return to Norway. We decide to head for the city of Reims, where she can catch a train back to Paris, and as we get a final bout of summer weather, she gets a last look at the beautiful French countryside. And that's your last sunset aboard. Leaving tomorrow. What the function? The next episode, the journey south continues. I make new friends and experience the local wildlife firsthand before leaving the canals and entering the River Song.